What if the person sleeping beside you every night was living a completely different life by day? This isn't fiction. This is the reality that Nathaniel Cross discovered about his wife Veronica in the neon-drenched city of Las Vegas. By day, she was his devoted partner managing their suburban home. By night, she transformed into Venus, captivating audiences at one of Vegas's most exclusive strip clubs. Have you ever wondered how well you truly know your partner? The intimate details they keep hidden, the secrets buried beneath smiles and casual conversations. For most of us, those secrets might be minor: a hidden bank account, an occasional cigarette, a past relationship never mentioned. But for some, like Nate Cross, the discovery shatters not just trust, but reality itself. The truth is, we never fully know another human being. We see only what they allow us to see, filtered versions of themselves carefully curated for our consumption. Behind closed doors, sometimes horrifying realities exist, obscured by routine and comfortable assumptions. In the case of the Crosses, these secrets carried a devastating price. What began as financial desperation for Veronica snowballed into a complex web of deception. For Nate, a man obsessed with control and outward appearances, the revelation became unbearable. His discovery didn't end with shocked disbelief or even a bitter divorce. It concluded in blood. Las Vegas isn't just a city of chance and fortune. It's a place where identities blur and reinvention is currency. Every night, thousands of people become someone else under those bright lights. Most return to their real lives when morning breaks. Veronica never got that chance. This story forces us to consider uncomfortable questions. How much deception can a relationship withstand? At what point does survival justify betrayal? And perhaps most chillingly, what darkness might we harbor if pushed beyond our breaking points? As we examine the fatal collision between Veronica's desperate choices and Nate's violent reaction, you'll witness how quickly the facade of domestic bliss can crumble when secrets emerge from the shadows. You'll see how a single discovery triggered a chain reaction, ending in murder, forever altering multiple lives. This isn't just another true crime story. It's a warning about the explosive power of hidden truths and the thin line between love and possession. Before we continue this journey into Las Vegas's darker side, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to True Crime Village. Each week we bring you stories that go beyond sensationalism to deliver genuine insights and crucial life lessons. Hit that notification bell to ensure you never miss an upload, because understanding these tragic cases might just help you recognize warning signs in your own life. Now, let's pull back the curtain on the seemingly perfect life of Veronica and Nate Cross, and witness how quickly paradise can transform into purgatory when secrets come to light. Las Vegas exists in perpetual contradiction. From gleaming casino towers to modest residential neighborhoods, it's a city where fortunes rise and fall with each roll of the dice. Behind the glamour of the Strip lies another Vegas, one of ordinary people living extraordinary deceptions to survive. In the affluent Desert Shores community, Veronica and Nate Cross embodied the American dream. Their Spanish-style home, with manicured desert landscaping, projected success and stability. Each morning, they'd share coffee on their patio, overlooking Lake Jacqueline, exchanging pleasantries about upcoming meetings and dinner plans, the choreography of a contented marriage. Nate drove his Mercedes to a downtown high-rise where his real estate development firm occupied the entire 15th floor. His office featured floor-to-ceiling windows, offering panoramic views of the city he was actively reshaping. With his tailored suits and confident handshake, he cultivated an image of bulletproof prosperity. Business associates knew him as decisive, calculating, and always in command. 6 miles away, Veronica moved through her day in elegant simplicity: yoga classes, charity committee meetings, supervising home renovations. Her wardrobe of understated designer pieces and quiet sophistication won her entry into exclusive social circles. To neighbors and acquaintances, she appeared content in her role as successful wife. Neither image told the complete truth. Behind closed doors, urgent whispers replaced social niceties as bills piled up. Nate's business ventures had suffered severe setbacks. A failed condominium project had drained their savings, while investors demanded returns he couldn't provide. Their mortgage payments had fallen 3 months behind, credit cards approached their limits, and collection notices arrived with increasing frequency. While Nate spent evenings negotiating with questionable business contacts in smoke-filled casino backrooms, Veronica transformed in the cramped dressing room of the Neon Mirage. Gone were the conservative blouses and tasteful jewelry, replaced by sequins that caught the purple-blue stage lights. Here she became Venus, confident and commanding, drawing patrons into a fantasy that paid their mounting debts. Two separate worlds, his of high-stakes power plays among Vegas elites, hers of music-driven performances and cash-filled envelopes, neither spouse fully comprehending the depth of the other's deception. Their magnificent house stood as a hollow monument to appearances, its foundation cracking beneath the weight of secrets neither dared to share. The transformation began each evening at 8:30 p.m. in a back room of the Neon Mirage. Veronica's trembling hands first removed her wedding ring, tucking it into a hidden pocket of her purse, a ritual that symbolically separated her two existences. She methodically applied stage makeup, each stroke of eyeliner and brush of highlighter, building the armor she needed to become someone else. The final touch, a long auburn wig that cascaded down her back, nothing like her natural shoulder-length blonde hair. When Venus emerged onto the dimly lit stage, she moved with a confidence entirely absent from Veronica's daily life. Music pulsed through her body as she commanded attention, executing complex choreography on the pole with athletic precision. Men pressed $100 bills into her hands, captivated not just by her beauty, but by the character she portrayed, mysterious, untouchable, in complete control. The irony wasn't lost on her. Here, amid flashing lights and pounding music, she felt more authentic than in her meticulously decorated living room. Her journey to the Neon Mirage hadn't been planned. 8 months earlier, after discovering Nate's business was hemorrhaging money, panic set in. Their lifestyle costs, the mortgage, country club membership, car payments, were unsustainable. When a former college roommate mentioned the club's lucrative opportunities, Veronica initially dismissed the idea with horrified laughter. 3 more weeks of mounting bills changed her mind. Her first night had been a blur of terror and shame. She'd almost walked out twice before her stage debut. But when she counted $1,200 in cash that night, more than she'd made in 2 weeks at her last legitimate job, the financial calculation became simple. 1 night of dancing equaled 1 mortgage payment. What began as temporary financial salvation evolved into something more complex. Within the club's walls, Veronica discovered an unexpected freedom. Her entire adult life had been defined by others' expectations. Her conservative parents, critical former boyfriends, and ultimately Nate, whose subtle control manifested in comments about her appearance and social connections. As Venus, those expectations vanished. She made her own rules, set boundaries, commanded respect. Yet this liberation came with crippling anxiety. Every evening as she drove to work, her stomach clenched with fear of discovery. She created elaborate cover stories about charity events and girls' nights out. The constant vigilance exhausted her, checking credit card statements, deleting text messages, maintaining separate bank accounts, showering before returning home. The emotional compartmentalization took its toll. Some mornings, she stared into her bathroom mirror, struggling to recognize which version of herself was real. She'd cry silently in her car, overwhelmed by guilt, not just for lying to Nate, but for secretly preferring parts of her nighttime identity to her daytime prison of perfectionism. Most painful was the knowledge that her choices, however necessary, violated the values she'd been raised with. Each Sunday at church beside Nate, shame would wash over her as the pastor spoke of honesty and marital fidelity. Was financial security worth this fracturing of her soul? Was her newfound independence merely a comforting fiction? On her bedside table sat a metal box containing $31,000, emergency cash she'd accumulated over months of performances. The growing sum represented both her shame and her hope, enough money to pay off their debts, but also enough to disappear if necessary. She never imagined a third possibility, that this secret fund would become evidence in a murder investigation. Nathaniel Cross built his real estate empire on a foundation of charm, intimidation, and flexible morality. To investors and city officials, he projected an image of the self-made entrepreneur, a man who'd transformed modest beginnings into wealth through determination and vision. Reality proved more complicated. His downtown office functioned as a legitimate business by day. Meetings with architects, calls with contractors, negotiations with banks. But after hours, different visitors arrived. Men with cash-heavy briefcases and handshakes that lingered too long. Conversations conducted in hushed tones with blinds drawn. Nate specialized in converting problematic cash into legitimate assets, a skill highly valued by certain Las Vegas power players. Vincent Moretti, a casino executive with documented ties to organized crime, became his most profitable connection. Their arrangement was simple. Moretti's associates needed places to store money. Nate provided real estate transactions that withstood scrutiny. His commission on these deals far exceeded standard rates, allowing him to maintain his lavish lifestyle despite several failed legitimate projects. Control defined every aspect of Nate's existence. His closet contained 50 identical white shirts, arranged by subtle differences in collar style. His calendar operated in 15-minute increments. At restaurants, he insisted on corner tables facing the entrance. Every morning began with the same protein shake, consumed while reviewing overnight market changes. This pathological need for order extended to his marriage. He'd selected Veronica partly for her malleability, a beautiful, accommodating woman who enhanced his professional image. He dictated subtle aspects of her appearance through suggestions about her hair, weight, and clothing. Her social calendar required his approval, friends vetted for their connections and status. Though never physically abusive, he wielded emotional precision, deploying silence or criticism to maintain dominance. The irony was striking. While obsessively controlling his home life, Nate's business ethics remained remarkably flexible. He bribed building inspectors, falsified occupancy reports, and manipulated property valuations. When a potential development threatened protected desert habitat, environmental reports mysteriously changed conclusions. City council members who supported his projects received consulting fees through shell companies. His laptop contained two separate accounting systems, one for legitimate business, another tracking money from unnamed investors and cash transactions. The same fingers that tenderly caressed Veronica's cheek at dinner parties had signed documents authorizing threats against competitors who challenged his interests. Nate considered himself not immoral but pragmatic. Las Vegas operated by unwritten rules. Those who understood this prospered. Idealists failed. He'd built something substantial from nothing, and protected it by any means necessary. If laws bent in the process, that was simply the cost of success in a city founded by gangsters. What he couldn't tolerate was losing control of his narrative. His carefully constructed identity depended on maintaining specific illusions about his business acumen, his marriage, his position in society. The revelation that his wife led a secret life threatened every aspect of that carefully managed self-image. For a man whose existence centered on controlling his environment, Veronica's independence represented the ultimate betrayal. Discovery began with a misplaced receipt. While searching for a tax document in Veronica's desk drawer, Nate found a credit card statement from an account he didn't recognize. 3 charges stood out. Rideshare services at 3 a.m., a makeup store specializing in theatrical products, and a downtown parking garage, all on nights Veronica claimed to be at charity functions. Curiosity, not suspicion, initially drove him. He casually mentioned the parking garage during dinner. "I'm thinking of investing in that new structure downtown, the one near the Neon Mirage. Have you been down there recently?" Her response came too quickly. "No, I avoid that area. Too congested." The lie registered instantly. His mind replayed the statement, charges, calculating distances and times. Why would she lie about something so trivial? A week later, He noticed inconsistencies in her schedule. The charity event she'd attended supposedly ended at 9 p.m., yet her car wasn't in the garage until after 4 a.m. The women's shelter she claimed to volunteer at had no record of her involvement when he called to make a donation in her name. Doubt infected every interaction. He began checking her phone while she showered, scanning through messages and call logs. Her devices revealed nothing unusual, suspiciously clean, in fact, no text history beyond a week, minimal social media presence, browser history regularly cleared. At his office, between meetings with legitimate clients, Nate accessed their home security system. The footage revealed Veronica leaving home on Tuesday nights around 7 p.m., returning well after midnight, hours when her calendar showed book club meetings. Her appearance upon return caught his attention: professionally applied makeup, carefully styled hair, exhaustion evident in her movements. Sleep abandoned him. During board meetings, his mind wandered to calculations of unexplained absences and inconsistent stories. His legendary focus deteriorated. Associates noticed his distraction, his sudden angry outbursts. The confirmation came through unexpected sources. At a casino fundraiser, Vincent Moretti approached after several drinks. "Your wife's quite the performer," he remarked cryptically. "Venus, right. Impressive flexibility." He walked away before Nate could respond, leaving him frozen with champagne halfway to his lips. That night, he sat alone in his car, outside the neon mirage. Through tinted windows, he watched women arrive for the evening shift. At 8:15, Veronica's sedan pulled into the back lot. She entered through the employee entrance, carrying a duffel bag. His stomach clenched as reality shifted beneath him. For 3 consecutive nights, he observed from a distance, documenting her arrivals and departures. He purchased a ticket using a friend's ID, baseball cap pulled low over his eyes, and witnessed his wife, transformed by makeup, costume, and stage name, commanding attention on the main stage. Each revelation intensified his sense of betrayal. Their marriage, his carefully controlled domestic perfection, was a facade. While he dictated her acceptable activities and friendships, she'd created an entire existence beyond his knowledge. The financial implications struck him next. How much money had she earned? Where was it hidden? What else might she be concealing? His emotions cycled through disbelief, humiliation, and rage. He built their life on specific principles: appearance, respectability, control. Her secret career violated every unspoken rule of their relationship. More disturbing was his inability to reconcile the Veronica he knew quiet, agreeable, demure with the confident performer commanding applause night after night. Have you ever discovered someone close to you was living a completely different life than you imagined? We're curious about your thoughts. Are secrets ever justified to protect a relationship? Or is complete honesty always the right path? Share your perspective in the comments below. Your experiences might help others facing similar situations. As Nate gathered evidence of his wife's deception, a dangerous certainty formed in his mind. This betrayal demanded confrontation. What he couldn't yet admit, even to himself, was that he'd already decided the outcome. The question wasn't whether he would confront Veronica, but how severely he would punish her disloyalty. The evening of June 17th began with unusual quiet in the Cross household. Veronica entered through the garage door at 1:38 a.m., expecting darkness and silence. Instead, she found Nate sitting motionless in the living room, a tumbler of whiskey in his hand, all lights on. A stack of photographs lay on the coffee table before him. "Late meeting?" His voice carried artificial casualness. Veronica froze, hand still on her purse. "Yes. The fundraiser ran long. You should have texted if you were waiting up." He lifted the top photograph. Interesting costume for a charity event. The image showed her on stage at the Neon Mirage, mid-performance. Blood drained from her face as she recognized several more photos entering the club, collecting cash from patrons, applying makeup in the dressing room. "How long have you been following me?" Her voice barely audible. "That's your question? Not an explanation, not an apology, Just concern about how long I've known. Nate stood, whiskey sloshing over the glass rim. 3 years of marriage, and I discover my wife is a stripper. A goddamn stripper. I can explain. Explain what? How you've been lying every day? How you've made me look like a fool? His voice rose with each question. Everyone knows. Moretti mentioned it at the fundraiser. People are laughing behind my back. Veronica straightened her shoulders. This isn't about you. We were drowning in debt because your Summerlin project collapsed. The bank was threatening foreclosure. So you decided to take your clothes off for strangers. That was your solution. Nate hurled his glass against the wall, shattering it. You could have asked me for money. I did. You said everything was fine, that I shouldn't worry about finances. Meanwhile, collection notices arrive daily. She moved toward the kitchen, maintaining distance between them. His unpredictable anger frightened her in a way it never had before. I needed to fix things myself, she continued. The club pays cash. I've saved over $30,000, enough to catch up on the mortgage and pay down credit cards. Nate's laugh held no humor. How considerate. My wife strips for 6 months, but it's fine because she's paying bills. What choice did I have? Your business was failing. You refused to acknowledge our financial reality. Don't you dare blame me. I built everything we have. I gave you this life. This life? Pretending we're not broke? Smiling at your business associates while knowing you're involved with criminals? Her fear transformed into unexpected defiance. I know about Moretti's money laundering. I know about the bribes. I've been listening to your late-night calls for years. Nate's expression shifted from rage to shock. You know nothing. I know everything. The difference is my secrets were keeping us afloat. Yours could send you to prison. He moved toward her, voice dangerously quiet. Who have you told? No one. Unlike you, I protect my partner, yet you humiliate me nightly on that stage. I'm not your possession, Nate. I made a choice to save our finances while preserving your precious reputation. By becoming Venus, he spat the name. You betrayed everything we built. You built your image. You controlled our life. My friends, my schedule, my appearance. The only thing you never dictated was my soul. Rage flashed in his eyes. You self-righteous bitch. You think dancing for strange men preserves your soul. At least there, I exist as myself, not as Nathaniel Cross's perfect accessory. You're my wife. I'm a human being. Someone who tried to save us when you wouldn't. His hand struck her face with explosive force, sending her stumbling against the kitchen counter. Shock registered in both their expressions. He'd never hit her before. Nate? Her hand reached for her cheek. Stop talking. His voice had changed, ice replacing fire. Veronica recognized the danger, too late. When Nate grabbed the heavy crystal vase from the counter, calculation replaced fury in his eyes. This wasn't loss of control. It was deliberate intent. Please, she whispered. The first blow caught her temple. She collapsed onto the imported marble floor that had once symbolized their success. The second blow silenced her permanently. Nate stood over her body, blood spreading across the white tile. The perfect home he'd created was now irrevocably stained, like the perfect marriage that had never actually existed. Detective Eli Vargas arrived at the Cross residence at 5:17 a.m. 23 years with Las Vegas Metropolitan Police had taught him to read crime scenes like others read books. This one told a straightforward story: the blood spatter patterns, the position of the body, the obvious murder weapon still bearing fingerprints. What interested him more was the man sitting calmly in the dining room. I lost my temper, Nate explained without emotion. She admitted she'd been working as a stripper. Vargas noted the clinical detachment, the careful language. Not I killed her, but I lost my temper. Classic distancing technique. He'd seen it countless times. Mr. Cross, did you call 911 immediately after the incident? No. I waited until I'd spoken with my attorney. 3 hours between murder and emergency call. Vargas photographed dried blood on Nate's monogrammed shirt cuffs, the half-empty bottle of cleaning solution, the computer showing deleted search history. The investigation revealed carefully constructed fictions on both sides. In Nate's office safe, detectives discovered offshore account numbers, property deeds under aliases, and records of transactions with known criminal organizations. His legitimate business had been failing for years, maintained only through illegal deals with the Moriarty's organization. Meanwhile, in a storage unit rented under her maiden name, they found Veronica's alternative identity, $10,000 in cash, financial records documenting their true debt situation, and a journal detailing her plan to leave Nate once she'd saved enough money. The most revealing testimony came from Lila Moreno, bartender at the Neon Mirage and Veronica's closest confidant. She was terrified of him, but not physically, Lila told Vargas during her third interview. She feared his control, how he monitored her movements, isolated her from friends who didn't fit his image. She showed me texts where he'd criticize her weight, her opinions, her family. Lila described Veronica's gradual transformation. At first, she danced just for money. Then it became about reclaiming power. She'd say, "On stage, I make the rules." She was planning to leave him in August, had her apartment deposit ready and everything. When asked why Veronica hadn't left sooner, Lila's answer proved illuminating. She believed he'd destroy her, not kill her, though that's what happened, but ruin her reputation, her future, her family relationships. His need for control was absolute. Phone records revealed Nate had indeed discovered her employment weeks earlier than he claimed. He'd systematically gathered evidence, contacted his attorney about divorce implications, and researched Nevada's domestic violence laws, all while maintaining their normal routine. The prosecution's case solidified around premeditation rather than passion. The careful cleaning attempts, the delayed emergency call, the documented history of controlling behavior all pointed to calculated violence rather than momentary rage. Have you ever overlooked warning signs in a relationship? The psychological control Nate exerted followed classic patterns that escalated to violence. Comment below about red flags you've experienced or witnessed: controlling behaviors, isolation tactics, financial manipulation. Your insight might help someone recognize dangerous patterns before tragedy strikes. As media coverage intensified, public focus shifted between salacious details about Veronica's employment and shocking revelations about Nate's criminal connections. Lost in the sensationalism was the fundamental truth. A woman had recognized her captivity and sought freedom, only to have that quest end her life. The state of Nevada, v. Nathaniel Cross, began 9 months after Veronica's death. Prosecutors methodically dismantled Nate's claim of crime of passion, presenting evidence of his calculated research and preparation. Security footage showed him following Veronica to work repeatedly. His computer contained searches for Nevada murder penalties and heat of passion defense weeks before the killing. Nate's defense strategy, portraying himself as a respected businessman blindsided by his wife's secret life, collapsed when his criminal connections surfaced. Former business partners testified about money laundering operations. Bank records revealed millions hidden in offshore accounts while he claimed financial distress to Veronica. The jury deliberated for just 4 hours before returning a guilty verdict for first-degree murder. The judge, noting the extraordinary calculation involved, sentenced him to life without possibility of parole. Public reactions split along predictable lines. Some media outlets fixated on Veronica's occupation, implying her choices somehow mitigated her murder. Others recognized the case as a stark example of lethal control. Women's advocacy groups highlighted the progression from psychological domination to physical violence. Financial experts pointed to the dangers of monetary secrecy between partners. What resonated most powerfully was how thoroughly both Nate and Veronica had hidden their true selves, creating a marriage built entirely on performance rather than authenticity. The lessons from this tragedy extend beyond sensational headlines. Relationships without genuine communication become pressure cookers of resentment and suspicion. Financial secrecy, however well-intentioned, erodes trust fundamental to partnership. Most critically, control disguised as protection reveals itself eventually as the domination it truly is. Veronica sought independence through deception, while Nate maintained power through manipulation. Neither approached the other with honesty about their struggles, fears, or needs. Their silence built walls that ultimately became a prison, and for Veronica, a tomb. If this story affected you, please subscribe to True Crime Village for more cases that provide meaningful insights beyond the headlines. Share this video with someone who might benefit from these crucial lessons about relationship dynamics and the warning signs of control. Because the most dangerous secrets aren't just those we keep from others, they're the truths we refuse to acknowledge about ourselves until it's too late.